we up? Check, check. See how it sounds. Try to see how we are doing here for our little pregame show. I don't know. Let's see if it's going to work. Says we are live. Hopefully we're live. Trying to make it all work. First time doing a live show here on the Thomas Mott Show. Hopefully you guys want to join. Trying to get a little preview for 45 minutes out from Eagles and Commanders. As hey, this is gonna be a fun matchup. 2-0 Philadelphia, 1-1 Washington. Obviously, Carson Wentz coming back and playing against his old team. That is gonna be a lot of fun. If I'm sounding good, comment down below in the chat. I see Slipknot says, "What's up? What's up, guys? Hopefully we sound okay. I want to make sure that the stream, everything sounds fine. Trying to work on some new streaming software to get some overlays and stuff like that. So not able to get that to work today. We're gonna work on it though. Mottman sounds great. There we go. Everyone's coming in. What's up, guys? How we doing? First time doing live. It's kind of fun doing live. It's almost like a radio show. It's kind of my background. So it's like doing a live pregame radio show here on the Thomas Mott Show. We'll take a look, obviously, at your comments. We're going to talk, obviously, about the big game coming up today, Carson Wentz's return. I just saw a tweet from one of the beat writers at the stadium showing Carson Wentz and GM Howie Roseman. They did a little quick dap up at midfield pregame. Not a lot was said. It was very, very, quick. You can tell that there's probably still some animosity there. Carson Wentz wants to win this game. Let's be very, very, very honest about this. Nothing would make Carson Wentz happier than winning this game today. I mean, he would go secretly, because Wentz is a good guy and he's very humble and he's, not a big issue in terms of being like a big ego guy. Secretly, he would love to win this game. Outward, he would just be like, hey, it's another game. It's not a big deal. But I think overall, he is really, really trying to go ahead and get this win. I'm seeing that there's an echo. Is that true? Is there an echo going on right now? I'm trying to make sure that we don't have an echo on this live stream. Is there an echo? Joseph says there's an echo. I know if people are watching, if you're watching on like a TV, then sometimes there is an echo. If you're not watching on a TV, then it sounds just fine. So I'm assuming that it sounds good, or else we get more people saying that it doesn't sound good. If you're watching on a TV, then you should go and do it on your phone. I don't know why the TV doesn't sound good, but everything else, the computer, it sounds fine. So just, watch it on that. Here's the deal. As we go through this, I want to look at some of the other NFL games that are taking place today. I'm seeing very slight echo. I wonder where the echo is coming from. I don't know where it's coming from. I'm trying to see if I can adjust some things, but I'm not really sure how to go ahead and adjust. That's how you mute yourself. How do you make sure that the echo isn't there? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm seeing very slight echo. I'm getting text messages here. We're trying to see how it sounds. Let me pull it up on slight echo. Let me reload this, see if it's just me. Let me pull it up on my phone and see if I have an echo, because you never know. I might have an echo. I might not. Again, first time. It's a little bit of an echo. Yeah, that's not ideal. I wonder why it's I wonder how I would fix that. I'm not 100% sure. Hang on. Everybody sit tight. Let's see if we can figure this thing out. Let's see. Reverb in my room. Yeah, it could just be the reverb in my room. That's a very, very good point. I don't have the best sound dampening controls here in terms of trying to get that fixed. Yeah, I think we just got to roll with that. I don't think that the echo is that, terrible. It's not going to ruin everything. But I still sound fine, right? Come on, this is how live streams work. I got to figure these things out. Man, someone just said 7-0 start. Wouldn't that be crazy if they actually go 7-0? Joseph is the one having issues, I think. I don't know if anyone else is having issues. Let's see. I can text people who are watching right now. You sound great. See, I'm getting people that say that I sound great. How do I sound? I'll text that to my girlfriend who's watching right now and see what she says. You think we will sack Carson? We better sack Carson. All right, we're just going to go with it. I'm getting enough people saying that it sounds fine that we're just going to go ahead and roll with it here, that it sounds fine. Okay, here's the initial thought process on this game. Straight up, Philadelphia should absolutely win this game. I mean, when you look at both of these football teams, the Eagles are better on every single side of the football. The one place that should scare you, if you're an Eagle fan, obviously most of you guys are, is that the Washington wide receivers are pretty good. And Dotson's been pretty good the past couple of games. Obviously, Terry McLaurin has been really good, especially in that Lions game. That is where they could actually threaten Philadelphia a little bit. Running game's not that special. Offensive line is not that good. Defensive line without Chase Young is nothing to go ahead and write home about. Their secondary is not that great. I think overall, this should be an easy win for Philadelphia. However, there is the Carson Wentz factor, and every single Eagle fan understands what you're dealing with whenever you play Carson Wentz, because we saw it for 3, 4, 5 years when he was in Philadelphia. He has games where he absolutely looks like the best quarterback to ever come out of college. I mean, there have been games, especially that 2017 year in Philadelphia, where he looked like the best quarterback ever. I mean, his movement is great. He has great arm strength. He's able to break tackles. He's very strong in the pocket. Like everything about Wentz from a, I'd say, physical standpoint is really good. Where Carson Wentz gets in trouble is up here and holding the football too long. He overthinks things. You know, he kind of tends to double clutch when he sees some weird defenses. He doesn't trust his instincts, and that's what caused a lot of problems in Philadelphia, caused a ton of problems with the Indianapolis Colts, and obviously caused a ton of problems, at least, for the first two games, at least when they lost last week against the Lions, with the Washington Commanders. If he plays like 2017 Carson Wentz, this is going to be a shootout. It's going to be really, really crazy, and I think that it's going to be a very, very fun game overall. However, if he does play like the Carson Wentz that got him, fired or essentially traded from the Colts, Philadelphia should roll. I mean, literally, they should roll. He should hold the football too long. Josh Sweat should get his first sack of the year. You should see Hassan Reddick go ahead and get active in this one. He should throw a couple of picks to Darius Slay, and Philadelphia should win 31-14. Like, it should be a blowout, especially if Philadelphia plays as they did in that game against the Vikings. But the Carson Wentz factor is very interesting to me. It's very fascinating to me, and I'm very curious to see how he's going to perform under pressure against this Eagle defense. Lucky for him, he's not in Philadelphia today. Like, if this would have been week 3 at the link with, 65,000, 70,000 people booing the heck out of him every single drive, I think the pressure would be a little bit high, but he at least gets to play in Washington, and so maybe that helps him out to calm down a little bit. But I'm really hoping we can pressure him, and I'm really hoping we can go ahead and force some turnovers. From an offensive perspective for Philadelphia in this one, I think it's very simple. Keep doing exactly what you've done. Philadelphia in that first game, you score over 30, 35 points. Was it 38? They looked fantastic. They started running the football. They were obviously getting A.J. Brown involved, but we really needed to see a more diverse offense, and of course, adding in guys like Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, and they did that against the Vikings on Monday Night Football. Like, they looked way better in terms of spreading the ball around. It wasn't just A.J. Brown. It wasn't just, Jalen Hurts running. They were able to kind of move the pocket a little bit, find Devontae Smith, establish the running game. Miles Sanders looked pretty darn good in that one. Keep doing what you're doing. And defensively, everything's fine, except for, I think, the pass rush. I think the one thing that shocked me more than anything this year with the Philadelphia Eagles, and we'll see what happens today against the Washington Commanders, is the pass rush. This defensive line was billed by every media person out there. Like, every single media person out there build the Eagles defensive line as top 3 in the league. I said that myself on my Twitter account, @RealThomasMott, and that they were going to be a pressure and sack machine. That's not been the case. Like, that has not been the case at all. And I know I've seen some comments being like, oh, well, the scheme's a little bit weird, or, oh, well, the quarterbacks on Goff and Cousins got the ball out of their hand very, very quickly. And I understand that, but this defensive line should be able to get a lot more pressure. And I don't know if they're misusing Hassan Reddick, because he has been, a stand-up outside linebacker in the past. And I know there was a little bit of a scheme change coming from Carolina and back with the Arizona Cardinals, but he's got to be able to get more pressure. He's not winning his one-on-one battles. And so my big thing to watch today, especially from a defensive perspective, is, can you get to Carson Wentz? We just said he holds the ball way too long. He literally will double clutch. He's going to roll out of the pocket, and he should get sacked 3 or 4 times today. And that interior defensive or offensive line for the Commanders, it's not that good. Like, it's not that good at all. So I really want to see this defensive line take over, because when you actually play the better quarterbacks in the National Football League, whether that's Aaron Rodgers, later on in the year, maybe Dak Prescott week 6, or a playoff game against Tom Brady or Rodgers or Jimmy Garoppolo, or, a Super Bowl against Josh Allen. No, we've seen that a lot. This defense has got to be able to get pressure, because you can sit back against Kirk Cousins, he'll throw you some picks. You can sit back against Jared Goff, he'll make some bad throws. When you play against a very, very good quarterback, he might be able to carve this defense up a little bit if there's no pressure. So the one improvement for what's been a nearly flawless 2-0 start, you've got to go ahead and get a lot more pressure. Justin Biller says Dak ain't that good. I know, but every now and then Dak is good, and he's been very good against us. It's really frustrating, because I'm not a big Dak Prescott guy. Obviously, I've got comments here. I'll read as many as I can. I'm not a big Dak Prescott guy. I don't think he's worth $44 million a year. But for whatever reason, he absolutely carves us up and has carved us up the past couple of years. That should change this year. And he's going to be ready to play by week 6 based on all the reports that I've read. But Dak has been good against us, and so I included him in that little rant, because I want to make sure Dak doesn't carve this defense up. If you get pressure on Dak, like every other quarterback, then they should be good to go. No word yet on Landon Dickerson. I'm trying to go ahead and keep an eye on that in terms of his foot injury. We talked about it in the show yesterday. We're basically just saying that he's a game time decision. I have not seen any sort of update on Landon Dickerson if he's going to play or not. I'm checking Twitter as often as I possibly can. If he doesn't, it's probably Sua Opeta who's going to start at left guard, not Cam Jurgens. That's interesting to note. It would not be Cam Jurgens just because I think they want to kind of have him as the backup center in case something happens with Kelsey during a game. But it would not be Jurgens. It would be Sua Opeta. But there's been no update. And I've been going through Twitter all day long, and there's not been any sort of like beat writer who's in the stadium saying Landon Dickerson has been cleared to play today, or Landon Dickerson is suited up. So if we have any sort of update, I will give you guys on that one. Let's go through some comments here. Let's have some fun. It's the whole point of a live show here on the Thomas Mott Show. Landon is playing, yes, sir. Okay, well, according to Philly Fan 1, Landon Dickerson is going to play. That is good news. Nathan says, Thomas, you're my favorite. I appreciate that. I think we win 34-24. That's a fair score. I mean, Carson Wentz is going to get his. We're not going to blank the Commanders. I mean, Riverboat Ron's a good head coach, and obviously Jack Del Rio is a pretty good defensive coordinator. You're not going to blank them, but, 34-24 would make sense. Let's see here. Nick, head coach of the year. We talked about that in the Thomas Mott Show yesterday. I think he has a very, very high chance. Mike McDaniel, though, is the leader simply because Miami seemingly was a worse run franchise than Philadelphia. Like, you have to think from a Vegas standpoint, a better standpoint here. They look at, in terms of coach of the year, the coach that has taken either the best football team and basically gone undefeated or had a great season like you see, with a Rodgers head coach or the Bill Belichick or whatever, or they go for the guy who has turned a franchise around quickly enough. And Sirianni went to the playoffs last year, whereas the Dolphins missed out. So they see Mike McDaniels as kind of having a little bit of a head start on Nick Sirianni. But if like the Dolphins get blown out today by the Bills, which they were getting blown out by the Ravens last week, and then they came all the way back and won, then I think, and of course, if Sirianni wins today, then that's going to shift, and maybe the Vegas odds will have Sirianni as the number one, at least right now, head coach of the year. But it's so early, it's like, week 3, and so we can't get too crazy on that one. Devin says, got to pressure him so he doesn't have time. Yes, I agree. I take Hurts over Lamar because they're completely different players with different skill sets and running styles. I would too. I'm not a big Lamar guy. That's just a personal preference there. I don't know if he's ever going to be able to actually win a Super Bowl. And people get really offended when I say that, but I just don't know if he's like a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. He feels like kind of Michael Vick, and not Michael Vick whenever he was with the Atlanta Falcons, more like Vick whenever he was with us. Really, really good, but can you actually win multiple playoff games in a row with Lamar Jackson against better and better defenses as the playoffs go on? I don't really think so. Is Quez and Landon playing today? I think so. I think Landon Dickerson is, but I'm not sure on Quez Watkins. I want to see Big Jordan Davis. I do too. So Slay will cover Terry. Bradbury will cover Dotson. I'm scared that Terry goes off because last year Terry Moss's Slay for a big catch. Hope that does not happen again this year. I sat Terry McLaurin in my fantasy football league because I think Slay's going to have a big game. Slay was great last week, and hopefully he's not, has a down week following absolutely blanketing Justin Jefferson. But I sat Scary Terry just simply from the fact that I think the Eagles secondary is that good. Let's see here. Slay can have his own version of Revis Island this year. I hope so. How complex do you feel our offensive plays are? Do you think they should start ramping it up next year? I think they are pretty complex. I think Sirianni last year was very basic with Jalen Hurts. I mean, it was a lot of read option, and it was a lot of zone reads, and then obviously a lot of RPOs. Because RPOs are very simple, because simply it's really 2 reads, right? So you're going to read for the defensive end on a handoff, and then you have one route coming across the middle. They did it a ton with Nick Foles during the Super Bowl run. That way it simplifies the game, and he doesn't have to think, read 1 here, read 2 here, read 3 here, read 4 as the back out of the football field. They did that a lot with Jalen Hurts last year. The game that I saw when I was overseas in Norway, obviously at like 2 in the morning, watching the Eagles on Monday night, they're opening this up, and Hurts is going through progressions right now. And so the offense is way more different than what it was last year. And it helps having all the skill players, right? It helps having A.J. Brown on a crosser, Devontae Smith on a deep out, Sanders out of the backfield, Dallas Goedert doing, an in or whatever whatever the route combination is. But I think that right now the offense is way more intricate than it was last year. And credit Jalen Hurts for being good enough and being a lot better than what he was and learning the playbook and being a quarterback that can go through reads, because that's a big part of being a successful quarterback in the National Football League. What games are you going to this year? I was going to go ahead and announce that tomorrow. I'm going to Eagles-Jaguars next week. I'm taking my roommate Alex, who we'll do a whole video on this week. And I think I'm going to do a vlog-style video from the link at the game, just to see what it's like to go if you've never been. Alex is a Jaguars fan. I'm an Eagles fan, obviously. And so we're going to go for Eagles-Jaguars. It's going to be a bunch of fun. I got a book where I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay somewhere on Broad Street. I'm not exactly sure. But we're going to be in I don't know what section, like 244. We're in the end zone on the right side if you're on the Eagles sideline. And I'll post this all, and so if y'all are going to the game, then come and say hi. Like, it'd be fun to run into people. But yeah, we get Eagles Jaguars. Jaguars have who do they have today? Let's see. The Jaguars have the Chargers. That's right, in LA. Herbert is maybe going to play with the cracked ribs. We'll see. But Jacksonville could be 2-1. Doug Peterson comes back. Could be a little interesting of a matchup there. It's going to be fun to go see that one. Let's see. I think we win today 34-24. I hope so too. I think that's a very fair score prediction. Sanders goes for 170. Could be a big Sanders game. We need a big Sanders game where he does both, over 100 yards and a touchdown, because he's not really either like has over 100 yards and no touchdown, or he has like 40 yards and one touchdown. So, it'd be nice for him to go ahead and go over 100 and get the touchdown. Let's see. Scores the first touchdown. Goodness gracious. Probably Jalen Hurts on a keeper. That's like all he does in the red zone. He loves to keep it in the red zone, run for a rushing score. 34-24. Everyone keeps saying 34-24 Eagles. I'm going to go 31-17 is my score prediction. I should have waited for later on in the show, but I'll go 31-17 for that one. I'm worried about Jonathan Gannon's play calling. No, I will not be streaming during the game. No, I want to actually watch the game. Sorry. I want to enjoy the game. So, what are you going to do? Let's see. Hurts throws for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Possibility on that one. I think there's definitely a possibility on that one as well. But I don't know. 400 yards is a lot, right? 400 yards is a lot to go ahead and throw. And Hurts has played very, very well. But that's like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, we're really talking MVP on all of the Thomas Mott shows tomorrow. Okay, the Jonathan Gannon play calling thing. Let's just dive into that because Joseph brought it up here on the chat. I think Gannon has a scheme that he absolutely believes in. And it's very clear. That's all he did last year was that shell coverage, rushing 4, and whether he was getting shredded by Brady or not, he was sticking to that scheme, bringing very few blitzes. Now, he's changed that a little bit. You saw it in the second half against the Vikings. Gannon started bringing a couple of more exotic blitzes, a slot blitz or bringing an extra linebacker, mixing it up on third down. But overall, Gannon's entire defensive scheme is bring 4, expect to get pressure from 4, and then play 7 in coverage and don't let anything go behind you. And that's not a terrible way to think about it. You just have to have the right players in order to go ahead and be successful with that. And last year, he was not successful with that at all because they had a liability at corner on the outside. They had very poor linebacker play. The safeties weren't that great. Anthony Harris was horrible last year, and no one really talked about it because it was like, well, what are your other options? And Roddy McLeod was old. And so now he has young athletic safeties in Epps and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He has 3 really good cornerbacks, including, obviously, the slot corner in Avonte Maddox. He has linebackers who can actually fill gaps and fill holes. And he has a rotational defensive line that, yes, needs to get more pressure, but is still pretty darn good. So he's going to keep calling plays as he has since he took over the defense just a couple of years ago. My question is really going to be, will this defense hold up against good quarterbacks? And I don't think we're going to see one today. I think Carson Wentz is obviously, mediocre, going to throw some interceptions, and Philadelphia is going to be just fine. But when you actually play a good quarterback, whether it's Kyler week 5, Dak week 6, what is it, week 10, whenever Philadelphia takes on the, I don't know what week that is, the 27th of November, the Sunday nighter against the Packers, that's when this defensive scheme is going to be tested. And if he gets shredded on those days against the good quarterbacks, I think Eagle fans are going to rightfully probably call for his firing at the end of the offseason. But if he performs well, then they're going to want to keep him, and they might lose him to a head coaching job. Okay, here. Let's see. Let's go through some more comments on the Thomas Mott show. The mental contest between the 2 quarterbacks. Hurts has already shown he as more mature and determined quarterback of the 2. I bet is that Wentz will choke against his replacement. That is an interesting thought process because we're focusing on Wentz. I did a whole talk on Wentz at the start of the live show today. But there's the same kind of similar pressure on Jalen Hurts because he was drafted to basically replace Carson Wentz and to compete with Carson Wentz and really beat out Carson Wentz. This organization put all their trust behind Jalen Hurts and said, peace out to Carson Wentz. And so Hurts wants to show that it was the right move because even though one game is not going to determine whether people think Hurts is really, really good or not, if it gets to the point then where, Jalen Hurts doesn't play well today, then you could definitely see, first things first tomorrow or first take talking about how, Carson Wentz outshine Jalen Hurts to Philadelphia make a mistake, which is dumb, but they'll do it for obviously, the way that the national media does things in order to get you to go ahead and watch them. I had a tweet from JD. He gave me the inactive. Let's see. Washington, Reed Blankenship won't play. These are Eagles, obviously. Sermon won't play. Sills won't play. Calcaterra will make his debut, which means that obviously Dickerson is going to play in this one, and Watkins is active as well. So that's good news there. There you go. There's your injury update. I appreciate that from JD. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and keep going through some comments. What else we got here? How is Miles going to do? Hopefully well. And we run the ball a lot today, more than ever. I do too. Do I sit AJ or Smith? Man, Smitty looked good last week, huh? He looked really, really good last week. I would start. Can you get both of them on your fantasy football team? Can you start both? I would start Devontae Smith today. That's just me. And maybe it's because the Devontae Smith jersey is hanging up, like right over there. Like maybe you want to, it's a little good omen. You can't see it, but that is a Devontae Smith jersey. But I don't know. It's like it's a coin toss on who scores today, whether it's AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. But Smith looked good last week, and teams are way more worried about AJ Brown. And so Smith gets the number 2 cornerbacks. He's going to start really heating up today. Game plan for today: run, gas the Commanders, poor run defense. I agree. Maddox is so underrated. He is. No one nationally knows who Avonte Maddox is. Like, if you were to talk to any national media pundit, they have no clue who Avonte Maddox is. And yet he is one of the better cover corners in the slot in the National Football League. And honestly, we should be very, very grateful for that. He and Dallas Goedert are like BFFs, and they actually live together. Like, they literally bought a house and live together as roommates. They're both single guys. And so Goddard and Maddox are big-time buddies. Robert says Eagles should win this easily, but don't ever fool yourself that Samuel and McLaurin aren't going to score on us at all. That's true. Like, the Commanders are going to score. This will be dramatic. There's a divisional game, and it's Carson Wentz versus Jalen Hurts. It's going to be, a little bit of a slugfest, but I think 31-17, Philadelphia pulls this one out. Let's see. Dallas being used more this game, over under 6 targets. I think so. I think Goddard is hard to be the focal point of this offense, because it is a run-first offense. It's a zone read offense, and it very much is an offense that wants to go ahead and focus in on A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And so for as great as Dallas Goedert is, and he is absolutely fantastic, he's not, the main focus of this attack. And so while I think he should be involved, I don't think that he's going to be as involved as, maybe a fantasy owner would be. I didn't take him for that reason. I think there are too many weapons on the outside, and Hurts like to run the football a lot more than other quarterbacks who might want to dump it off to a tight end instead. Alex says AJ for sure. We'll see. AJ versus Devontae Smith. We'll see. Diggs, Brown, Smith, St. Brown. I might sit Smith because St. Brown has been really good. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown as well, and I brag about drafting him like every single day to all of my friends. He was great last week. I got him starting as well. I think Brown will go off. I hope so too. Let's quickly just look at some other games here as we keep rolling. We're like 30 minutes until kickoff, so we got about 20 minutes left here on this little Thomas Mott show. Hope you guys like the live format. I think the live format before a game is a good way to do it. Maybe you'll do it after the game, depending on what happens. If they lose today and it's big drama, then I'll jump on a live stream and do a live show after. If not, I'll just film the video and post it. You guys can enjoy that as you will. There aren't a ton of very important NFC games today, and I mentioned that during my national segment on the Thomas Mott show yesterday. You talk about Texans, Bears, like who cares? Like an absolute snoozer. Although the Bears got a new field. That turf at Soldier Field is like historically horrible. So they finally fixed it. And so if you watch, the Red Zone channel today or whatever, which I'll have on my computer, the Bears turf should look better. That's the only excitement in that game, was the fact that there's a new turf. Other than that, absolute snooze fest. Raiders, Titans, 2 teams that are going in the wrong direction right now. The Titans are going to bench Ryan Tannehill probably by week 6, and they'll insert the rookie that they took, who I'm blanking on right now, but he looked good during the preseason. The Raiders are a mess right now, and I think Josh McDaniels gets fired at the end of this year. I think they are an absolute mess. Chiefs, Colts, the Colts must win this game. It just feels like a must win for the Colts because Matt Ryan has looked super old, and the Colts defense has gotten shredded a lot, especially by the Texans. They should have lost that football game. I think that the Chiefs probably win that one, and the Colts go full panic mode. Bills Dolphins is getting hyped out the wazoo. If you turn on ESPN today, that is like the game of the week. It's like, oh my gosh, Tua and the 2-0 Dolphins versus the Bills. The Dolphins should have gotten blown out last week. The Ravens absolutely collapsed in that game. I think Buffalo wins big in this one. I think that they're going to go ahead and silence a lot of the Dolphin lovers. I don't hate the Dolphins. Like, they're scary. They're good. Tyreek Hill, Tua's not awful. But this idea that the Dolphins are like a 12-win football team and will contend for, the AFC title game, a little bit bloviated there. The Dolphins are a 9 or a 10-win football team. They sneak in as a 6 seed in the AFC and probably get outed in the first or second round. Big Josh Allen today, even though he's going up against, obviously, some good cornerbacks in Xavier Rhodes for the Miami Dolphins. My girlfriend, we'll shout out my girlfriend, Paige. She has Josh Allen in her fantasy football league and lives and dies by Josh Allen's performances each week because, her fantasy football team is the most important thing like in her life on a Sunday. So we got to root for Josh Allen. That way we have a happy girlfriend. Everybody here, root for Josh Allen. Lions Vikings. I think the Lions beat the Vikings. I think Minnesota's defense is a massive issue. They have serious issues at cornerback. Patrick Peterson's like 50 years old and got obliterated by the Eagles wide receivers last week. I think Detroit is legit. I think they are for real. They put up 35 points on Philadelphia. That was no fluke. They were really good in that second half. And I think 100% the Lions win that game and Minnesota goes into panic mode. Minnesota is a 6.5 point favorite right now. In Minnesota, I would take that. I would take the Lions plus 6.5 any day of the week. Ravens, Patriots are two mediocre squads. Who cares? Jets, Bengals. The only thing that matters there is Joe Burrow because he's my fantasy quarterback, and we must get him. We must get him, some points because he's been terrible for my fantasy football team. Saints, Panthers, again, two non-playoff teams. Jags, Chargers will be fun simply because my roommate is a Jags fan, so we vote for the Jags until next week. Cardinals, Rams. What do we have here? All right, are those teams going to win the division? That's tough. Seahawks and Falcons. Falcons have been terrible. I live in Atlanta, and the Falcons, they must win this one, or else all hell is going to break loose here in the ATL. Packers, Bucks. I think the Bucks get blown out in this one. I think the Bucks defense is great. Their offense is a mess right now, especially with Mike Evans being out. I think 100% the Packers are going to win. 49ers, Broncos is a good Sunday night matchup. I think Jimmy Garoppolo has saved the Niners season because the 49ers were dead on arrival with Trey Lance. I think it's going to be a good one. I think they might go into Mile High and win that one and make the Broncos start 1-2. Okay, let's see here. Goddard gets some more points. Like if he gets at least 9 minimum, that would be nice. I mean, let's see. Get the likes up. Yeah, hey, we have 41 people watching right now. Let's get to 41 likes. If you guys are watching, then obviously you have not hit the like button. Just give it a thumbs up because then more people can find it as we continue on the Thomas Mott Show. Brian Robinson's back, and I think playing. And Robert Kelly says, good call overall. I'm trying to see if there's any sort of last-second update for the Philadelphia Eagles. Kobe is going to be active today doing punt returns. There was a fun story for Britton Kobe, the Eagles undrafted free agent wide receiver out of Utah. He went to the link for the first game on Monday night and didn't know where to go for parking. So he paid for parking, parked in like a fan lot, and then walked through all of the tailgates to get to the game because he didn't know where to go, which is funny. It's a very rookie move by someone like Britton. So he is active today, and it will be on the starting 53, mainly because he's our best punt returner. Like the only other punt returner we have is Boston Scott, and I don't trust Boston Scott to be a good punt returner. So Kobe will go ahead and get the start for that one as well. Yahoo Sports has an interesting article here as we keep rolling on this live show. Up to 48 views, or 48 people watching. I appreciate you guys hanging out here. Let's see what they have to say in terms of what Philadelphia has to do in order to be successful. They say the Eagles are converting third down, second highest rate in the NFL. That is true. And it's mainly due to the fact that this offense is getting Jalen Hurts into third down and short. You remember last year, it felt like every single possession for Philadelphia was a run that went nowhere, a false start making it second down and 15, then a pass for 4 yards, and then it would be, third down and 11. It was third down and 11. Literally every single drive. And Philadelphia was terrible converting third downs, especially as we got towards the end of the season, and especially in that game in the wild card round against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This year, it's completely different. They are getting chunk plays on first down, whether it's a first down or it's an 8-yard run or an 8-yard pass. It's second down and short, and the playbook is just opening up right now, and it's making it way, way easier for Jalen Hurts. If they stay in third down and short, this offense will continue to roll, and you'll have more drives like the opening drive against the Minnesota Vikings last week, where Philadelphia went straight down the field, down the field and punched it in and looked absolutely fantastic. Chris says, Mott, you still here in the ATL? Yes, I am. I am still in the ATL. It's cold and rainy today, so nasty day in the ATL, but a good day for Philadelphia Eagles football. Weather report, it looked a little bit cloudy whenever I was looking at some of the tweets from FedEx Field, if they still call it FedEx Field up there in Washington. But hopefully it's not going to rain up there because the turf at FedEx Field is the worst in the NFL. Joseph says Eagles lead the NFL in team total offensive stats. That's true. They are the number one offense in the National Football League. Again, there's a lot of reasons why. They have so much talent. They have so much going for them right now. It's not a surprise at all. The question for me is going to be really the pass rush. If you're just joining us, a lot of you guys are. Appreciate the 41 likes, by the way. The pass rush is the one weakness right now on Philadelphia. And I saw all these comments talking about how, Thomas, you're wrong. The pass rush has been fine. It's not been. It's not been at all. This should be a 3 to 4 to 5 sack team every single week, regardless of who you play. The last couple of teams that they played, at least the first two, have had issues on the offensive line. Yes, the tackles on the Lions are good. They were banged up internally. Internally at the guard and center position, the Lions were definitely banged up. Philadelphia should have had a field day on Jared Goff. They didn't. The same thing goes for the Minnesota Vikings. They have young players on the outside. They were banged up on the inside. They should 100% have given up 4 or 5 sacks in Philadelphia. I don't even know if we got one. I think we got. Did we get one of Kirk Cousins last week? I don't even remember, but it wasn't like a lot. This is another instance today against a banged up. They're missing, I think, the right guard, left guard, whatever it is, Commanders' offensive line, where the internal pressure should be great for Philadelphia. And Carson Wentz holds the football for like 9 years, and he did it all the time when he was with us. He did it a bunch late in the season for the Indianapolis Colts, especially in that loss to the Jaguars. He fumbles the football a ton. You guys all know. We watched the Carson Wentz games every single week in Philadelphia, screaming at our TV saying, just throw the football away, get rid of it, and he never did. So this should be the game, 100%. This should be the game where Philadelphia finally starts to get some sacks, and Reddick gets his first sack, and Josh Sweat gets his first sack, and the Eagle defensive line plays a lot better. Because as Dustin just said, Carson plays hero ball, and that burns him more often than not. More often than not, Carson Wentz's hero ball will result in a sack, and a sack fumble, and a scramble where he throws it, deep for an interception. More often than not. Now, he does make some hero plays. That's why it's called hero ball. But more often than not, he does have a lot of turnovers, and Philadelphia should take advantage of that today. Some more comments here. If you guys want to keep chatting it up, ask me questions, you can. Let's see. Speaking the truth. I appreciate that, Dustin. We should have Rocky Mountain Pizza. It's the Eagles HQ in Atlanta. I was wondering. I heard there was an Eagles watch place in Atlanta, and I guess it's Rocky Mountain Pizza. Maybe I'll go for a game in the future. That's a good spot. I think Reddick gets a sack today. I hope so. That would be very, very nice. It'd be very nice if he would go ahead and get a sack. What's up, Thomas? Glad to see you back on here. Eric, what's up, man? I'm glad that you found the Thomas Mott show. Obviously, if you're new to the show, we obviously focus in on Philadelphia, but I like to do national stories as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the games taking place while Philadelphia plays, including the Monday Nighter later on tomorrow between the Cowboys and the Giants. And the Giants are 2-0, and they're favorites at MetLife against the Cowboys. We mix it up. Philadelphia the focus. We do NFL stuff as well. Any bets going on, Thomas? No, I have no bets today. No, I don't have a betting website right now. Maybe in the future, a little sneak preview there. Stay tuned for that one. Carson plays hero ball. Yes, we already mentioned that. Greg says, plus Wentz, we slow off the snap throwing the ball. We got to be rushing him. I agree. Maybe some extra blitzes today. I'm fine with. Again, Gannon is starting to ramp up his blitzes a little bit more each game through the first two. You saw way more in the second half against Kirk Cousins. Maybe this is a big blitz day where they try and get the ball out of Carson Wentz's hands into double coverages and force some throws. If Wentz doesn't have a turnover today, Philadelphia might lose. If Wentz turns the football over, which he probably will, Philadelphia is going to win this game, and they should win it by at least 10 points. Okay, fix it for my Eagles cup. Did I see? I'm like all into it. I got the Eagles. We're like balling out of our mind right now. Hang on. Okay, we need 4 sacks today. We had 1 in last 2 games. I know. And that one was like Jared Goff fumbling the football and then Fletcher Cox making it, barely making it, whatever you call it, like barely making it to the quarterback. Okay, let's look at some other stuff going on tomorrow night. I want to mention the Monday night game as well because I think that this is a very interesting one. Dallas beating the Bengals last week was very concerning. And I know that, we're all Eagle fans here, but the NFC East does matter, and national stories matter as well. I like to talk about national stories here on my own show. Dallas winning was very concerning because they should have lost. Like, they literally should have lost to the Bengals. All of us thought that they would. I know the Bengals have their own offensive line issues, and Joe Burrow's been sacked like 13 times in the first 2 games. Like, they have issues in and of themselves. But there's no way that Cooper Rush should be winning football games in the NFL. Like, it should not be happening. And so my fear right now is that Dallas treads water for the next 3 weeks because you're looking at week 4, week 5 for Dak Prescott to go ahead and come back. He comes back. He plays hero ball, which he's capable of doing and playing very, very well. I'm a Dak Prescott hater. I don't think he's that great, but he can win football games. And then you set up a scenario where Dallas is still alive. Because here's the deal with the Giants. The Giants are 2-0, right? The Giants have done nothing to impress me in terms of actually being a scary team in the NFC East. And maybe I'll eat my words. Like maybe I will, what week is that? It's like on December 12th, our first Giants game on the road. Maybe I'll eat my words to the Giants will be a lot better. And I like Brian Dable. And so, I don't hate on that guy at all. I think he's a very, very good head coach. But the Giants beat the Titans by 1, which they should have lost. and then they beat the Panthers. And the Panthers are an absolute mess. They are an absolute, dumpster fire right now. I think Carolina is one of the worst teams in the National Football League. And I went to Baylor. I talked about this on my Twitter account. You guys see, I went to Baylor. I was a Matt Rule guy. I met Matt Rule. I think Matt Rule's a great person. He was a great head coach in college, but overall, he has looked terrible as a head coach in Carolina. And I think that win last week from the Giants, barely squeaking it out against the Panthers on a last-second field goal, shows you that they're not that good. And so the Giants have beaten nobody. They will play the Cowboys on Monday night. If they win that one, not a big deal. And then you finally are going to get a test for the Giants in week 6. What is that? Week 5 when they take on the Green Bay Packers. And that's going to be a Thursday nighter on the NFL Network. Or what is it? Sorry, not the NFL Network. No, that is actually going to be, is that the one where they're going overseas? I think it is. Yeah, that's the one at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So it's on Sunday on week 5, whenever they're at or in London, whatever it is. Sorry, my brain blanked there. But I think the Giants are absolute frauds. Dallas still is the second best team in the NFC East. And I think the goal right now for Eagle fans and people who don't like the Dallas Cowboys is to 100% root for them to lose as many games as possible, including tomorrow. That way, when Dak comes back, whether it's week 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is, his uphill battle is way too hard to climb. Like, you want the Cowboys to be put away to where even if Dak Prescott wins 8 of his last 11, they still are not close enough to Philadelphia because we build up enough of a lead overall. With the Giants can win as many games as they want early on, because when you get to the latter part of this schedule, the Giants are going to start to lose football games. The Giants' schedule is very interesting. Look at this. So they have Cowboys tomorrow, then the Bears, then Packers, Ravens, Jags. Okay, that's a tough 3-game stretch because I like the Jaguars. Then you get Seahawks, Texans. Okay, sleepers. Then you finish, if you're with the Giants, Lions, we know are tough and we think could be a playoff team. At Dallas, Washington, Philadelphia, Washington, Minnesota, Indy, at Philadelphia. Their final, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-game stretch is a nightmare. There's no way that they even go 4-4. Like, there's no way that they even make it to 4-4 right there. So they could be, 6-4, or they could go ahead and be 5-5, and people might still be kind of a little high on them. But that final 8-game stretch, they're not going above 500. They will start to kind of fall. They'll finish with 8 or 9 wins, maybe 7 or 8 wins, and they will not be a threat to Philadelphia at all. So root for the Giants tomorrow. 100% root for the Giants and root against the Dallas Cowboys, because when Dak comes back, they're at least a viable football team. Now, they look bad in that first game, but they're a viable football team, and they're the only threat to Philadelphia right now in the NFC East. I am not streaming during the game. No, I'm gonna watch the game. I see that from Ben Aramat. Sorry, I'm gonna watch the game, and then I'll talk to you guys after the game. So I'm gonna do it. So it's just that simple. Let's see. We'll smoke the Giants. I agree. People call Justin Jefferson the best wide receiver in the league. I don't think so. No, Devontae Adams is better than Justin Jefferson for sure. Like 100%, way better. But Jefferson's great. I mean, he's not bad, but Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the league. Pollard and Elliott are garbage right now. Yeah, I'm starting Tony Pollard on my fantasy team, so I need him to actually do kind of well on Monday night. I hate drafting Cowboys, but it was my only shot was taking Pollard. I needed a backup running back. Let's see here. What's good, Mott? What's up, Tyrone? Lamb won't do much this season after coming off the injury. Lamb, I don't want to talk too much about the Cowboys, but I always tell you guys it's the Thomas Mott show. Talk about whatever I want. It's not just Philadelphia Eagles. Lamb's issue is that he started in the league alongside Amari Cooper. And when you start in the league as a number 2 with a really good number 1, you're getting all of the single coverages. And so Lamb, the first couple of seasons, the teams are focusing in on Amari Cooper, as they rightfully should. Safety over the top for Cooper, and it's one-on-one for Lamb. And he balled out. This year, they got rid of Amari Cooper for like pennies on the dollar. Those are the dumbest move I've ever seen by the Dallas Cowboys, and they do a lot of dumb moves. And now CeeDee Lamb is the number 1. And when Zeke is too old and too fat, and Tony Pollard is too mediocre, Dallas has to throw the football, and their only real weapon is CeeDee Lamb. And so if you're an opposing defense, you go, okay, I'm not scared of the Cowboys' rushing attack because it used to be good. It's not good anymore. The only one who can beat me is CeeDee Lamb. We'll double Lamb. Who else is there to beat us? Can you name the number 2 receiver on the Cowboys right now? Because I know Michael Gallup is out. It's that like undrafted free agent guy. What is he, like number 89? Exactly. You have no idea who he is. And so opposing defenses are not stupid. If I can figure it out, and I'm just talking here on Thomas Mott Show, then the opposing defensive coordinators can figure it out, and they double Lamb. And so Lamb is having a lot more difficult of a season, and will have a lot more difficult of a season than he did, which is why it's a good thing that Devontae Smith, last year, I think, was the true number one because he got to see what it's like being a number one wide receiver and prove that he can be a number one wide receiver. And so Lamb and Devontae Smith are having their roles reversed right now, right? Because Devontae Smith came in as a one, had to experience life as a one, was successful as a one, and now gets to be kind of a two or a 1B to A.J. Brown. And so Devontae Smith goes from the best corner every single week to the second best cornerback every single week. And so he should only get better. Whereas, obviously, CeeDee Lamb was playing against the number two cornerbacks his first couple of years. Now has to be a true number one. And obviously, I think is going to struggle a lot with that. Dallas will draft a receiver in the offseason. For sure, they will draft a receiver in the offseason. I don't know how many good ones there are in the draft this year. The draft is like, light years away from right now. And so we haven't even thought about it here from a draft perspective. But Dallas will take a receiver because they need a lot of help overall. I'm shocked that they haven't called OBJ. I know they don't have a lot of money, but I'm shocked Dallas has not called OBJ because they need a lot of help. You need T-shirts when you eventually get your shop up. That'd be cool. Yeah. Would you guys buy a Thomas Mott Show T-shirt? Hey, whatever. What's up, Thomas? Missed you already, bro. I think your new podcast is lit. I appreciate it. You guys like the lighting? I got these little green lights over here. I can't get them to be this color, like the midnight green, but I have them at the Kelly green. I think it looks pretty good. I was told I was hanging out with friends yesterday, and I was showing them my new show. It's like, oh, hey, I have my new show, and they were watching it, and they were like, this green clashes with this green, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like it's the same green because if you're an Eagle fan, you understand Kelly green and then midnight green. So it's like two of them. So my friends are idiots. It's whatever. Okay, how much time till kickoff? I'm gonna hop off here in about 3 minutes. So get your questions in right now if you have any more. And then I'm going to go watch the game because I want to watch the game and not do a live stream during the game. See, Robert's right. Good contrast. I agree. My friends are idiots. Okay, my score prediction. I'm saying 31-17 Philadelphia. I think Carson Wentz throws 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and gets sacked three times. Like, does anyone want to write that down? Like, you can just quote me on that. I think Carson Wentz, I think he has some moments. I think that he has some overall moments where it's like, oh, man, that's why Carson Wentz was good. But he should turn the football over. He should get sacked. He should hold on the football too long. And Philadelphia's defense, what we saw last week on Monday night, looks really, really good and fully capable of holding down the fort against what's a, interesting Washington team, but not a great Washington team. I think offensively, I think Devontae Smith goes off. I think Jalen Hurts continues to look good. I think that the offense runs the football to a big victory here, 31-17. And as this comment just said from Franchise 254, it'll be a runway game for the Eagles. It very well could. Because the Eagles' schedule, as I mentioned on the Thomas Mott Show, has potential for them to go on a big run here because they have Washington today. That could put them to 3-0. They have the Jaguars next week. I'll be at that football game. You expect the Eagles to win, but it's the Jaguars and it's Doug Peterson. So who knows? But they should, 4-0. Then you have a little tricky stretch, Cardinals and Cowboys. Maybe you win both. Maybe you go 1-1. Not sure. After that, though, Steelers, Texans, Commanders. The Steelers' offense is horrific, and trust me, I know. I have Najee Harris on my fantasy football team. He's terrible. The Texans are, rebuilding. I mean, name a player on the Texans not named Davis Mills right now. I can't even name another one, right? I'm trying to think of another Texan who actually, I think Brandon Cooks is a Texan right now. They're a franchise that's not in disarray because I think they're figuring it out on the front office side of things, but they're not that good. Commanders, again, you should win that football game. Then you get the Colts, who have been a disaster so far this year. Packers, Titans is like kind of interesting, But then you go Giants, Bears, Cowboys, Saints, Giants. Philadelphia has a real chance, like you said, launching pad to having a very successful year, as we've obviously talked about a lot here on the Thomas Mott Show. We'll go one more comment here. Andrew says 42-21 Eagles. Okay, that's not bad. Eagles -7, now only -5.5. Bad feeling. No, M5. You're fine. 31-17. They're going to be just fine. I think Philadelphia wins this football game. All right, that's it. There you go. There's your first live Thomas Mott Show. We'll do more of this. I'm going to figure out some streaming software. That way I can show my screen and show your comments on the screen. That'd be kind of fun. But, we're just figuring things out here and trying to have some fun. And hopefully we'll get a big Birds win. So I appreciate you guys watching the Thomas Mott Show. And we'll obviously talk this week. A lot of stuff coming out regarding the Eagles and the NFL and all this other stuff we do. Football focus show here, as we like to do on the Thomas Mott Show. So I'm out. Go Birds, 31-17. I think that they get the win.